talked about that a little bit, but that's all right. We'll talk about it some more.
Yeah,
Oh, how to set it
more-
up. We were going to talk
That's
about
what
how
it
to set one up. Got it.
Yes, that's what it was.
All right. Tracking with you now. All right. Heather has questions. Dun, dun. What are your questions, Heather?
Really, Amy?
Yeah, really.
How do I write a credit on a buyer broker agreement?
Oh, you would just put it in. I think there's an other terms line.
So I would just say, buyer's agent to credit per or to buyer's closing costs, or
Yeah, I would just say at close of escrow, buyer's agent to close or to credit buyer $1,500 or whatever it is towards buyer's closing costs. That way they're not getting any cash in hand. It's a credit, it's in writing, everybody's in agreement, and you can use that document to submit to both the lender and the title company for that credit as well.
okay.
You'd also want to put it on your demand. When you enter into contract and you issue that demand, you'll do it as a credit to the buyer. Or a deduction. Technically, it'll be a deduction on your demand in command.
My pen is not working. Okay.
I went through 4 pins this morning before I found a working pen. I feel your pain.
Okay. So other terms. Okay, at close of escrow, buyer's agent to credit money to buyer's closing costs.
Yeah.
Right?
There's also the other place that you might want to tuck it in. I think on all of our forms, there's an other terms line, but I don't use very much on the buyer broker agreement, but where it outlines the minimum commission. I believe there's a or line there as well, or an and line. So you could always do 2.5% and buyer's agent to credit buyer $1,500.
Okay.
So you could put it there as well. That would be
Both
an appropriate place
places.
to put it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd put it either or.
Okay. Either or, not both.
Either or.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You can
Or
decide where you want to stash it.
okay. And then so you said that relo when they do a relocation, is that like, because I think she said it's Chevron.
So what happens with a relocation is that Chevron or whoever the company is relocating an employee. They're either hiring a new employee and they're paying for their moving fees, or they're moving them to a new location, whatever that might be. They employ the services of a relocation company. And what happens with a relocation company on a listing is the relocation company actually buys the house from the sellers. And then the relocation company then sells it on behalf of the sellers, is generally how relo works. And so there's a little bit of like funky stuff that goes on. So there's usually an addendum in place and some other things from the relocation company, because they're usually doing this at the same time that we're trying to get the house sold or somebody's trying to buy the house. So there's usually a few extra documents. It's going to run like a traditional sale once they accept an offer. However, leading up to that, getting it on the market and stuff, that other agents got to jump through a lot of hoops to get it to that place.
So is it that the so like did they already negotiate kind of like a price with the owners, and then or is it actually the owners are still saying, oh, this is the offer we want to take, but it's per what the relocation company is telling them what they need to take, kind of?
Yeah, so it varies depending on relocation company, but generally speaking, there's like, hey, we've agreed on a price. There's been BPOs, there's been whatever done. They've kind of agreed on a price already.
Oh, okay.
And then they move forward that way. I believe if there's any additional money, then it goes back to the sellers as well. But yeah, there's like a minimum set that they've done.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's why she was probably telling me that on, I think she said Thursday. My days are all ahead one day to this week. So I think she said Wednesday or Thursday that I can go back and check her message, but that all the reload documents are going to be loaded up. So then that's why because I kept asking, now it makes sense. Now I kind of look like an idiot because I kept asking her, like, what does your client need? Like, what kind of are they looking for, like price wise, like close of escrow, like timeline, like are they doing any inspections? And she kept like circling back, and I was just like, she is not answering me. So it's probably
She probably doesn't know.
So she's like, I don't know either. I have no idea.
Yeah, we have to wait until they give us those documents to know how we want this to run.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I see. Yeah, because I know it's one of our agent's friends, and that's why I guess she couldn't take the listing or something. I don't know, but she was giving me some input about it, about
nice
how to go in and stuff, but the people don't want to go up in price to start. So I got to figure that out. So if I had that information, but I didn't want to tell the people before I got there today, because I want to get there and get the buyer broker agreement signed.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, okay, I talked to the agent, and the agent said that the relocation information is coming. So let's wait for that before we put the offer in.
So they're not reviewing any offers before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And then I just had one random question, because somebody had called me last night. I guess their house was foreclosed on, and I was just wondering a random question. I thought that there was a hold or something, because I know with Adrian's job there, he's friends with the guy who does that serving of the foreclosure papers. And they had said that there was a hold, but I haven't asked recently. So is that all? Are foreclosures now going to start happening?
Foreclosures probably are not going to start happening. I can't imagine that we have a ton of foreclosures in there. I mean, if you look at the notice of trustee sale. So yeah, mortgage companies houses can be foreclosed on at this point. To my knowledge, the moratorium is done. If there is still a moratorium in place, it's very specific to COVID delinquency. And if you can't prove COVID delinquency, then adios, like we'll take your house. So yeah, there are some foreclosures happening. There's lots of reasons for foreclosures outside of just the primary mortgage company, right? Like non-payment of taxes, HOA fees. I sold one that was a HOA delinquency foreclosure like a year ago or so. So there's lots of reasons out there for foreclosure, and there are foreclosures happening. That being said, I anticipate no onslaught of foreclosures in the Solano County area because we don't have a ton of delinquencies. I mean, you can pull.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I feel like this is an unfortunate event because somebody didn't tell me about it, and I don't know the lady, but she knows the lady through another lady, and it just seems like a really bad situation because I was like, well, I totally could have helped her because her house is in Paradise Valley.
Yeah.
And literally it's going to auction. It's on the MLS as an auction that's going next week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way that she owed $1 million and it's going on at $1 million. Like, there's no way. Like, I was so irritated last night. So I was like, not only for me for the money, but this lady that has lived in this house, she bought it like 20 something years ago.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you just allowed your friend to be screwed over because you didn't reach out to anybody and you knew.
Yeah. And a lot of times too, when it comes to foreclosures, like people have a lot of pride. And so even if you reach out and contact people who have notice of defaults filed against their property or notice of trustee sale, she's been contacted, I can guarantee you, by multiple agents as this process has progressed, trying to get her to realize that, hey, you've got equity in your property and you should sell it rather than letting it be foreclosed, because that's the case right now, right? Most people who are in a delinquency, most of them have some sort of equity in their house enough to get it sold, which would put them in a better spot. Most of the time they can get funds out, whereas if you let it foreclose, you lose out on that. But people,
wouldn't you think that they would just take the equity out and pay whatever bill is outstanding? Doesn't that make sense? Why couldn't they do that?
Yeah, so that would make sense. However, most people that are delinquent on their mortgage, they would not qualify for a refinance.
Gotcha.
And there's also a fear there, right, of people who are living in homes that are in default, that their credit's pretty screwed up. They usually don't have a lot of money. And there's a fear there that they're not going to be able to find a house. Like, rentals are scarce. They're really expensive right now. If I can't afford my payment, there's no way I can afford a rental. Like, so there's this whole like process that happens in their mind. And that's why a lot of times you'll see right now, at least, like properties that may go into foreclosure. It's just that fear of like, I don't know what to do next. And at least if I don't pay my payments, maybe I can stash some money away. And then maybe it'll take the bank a while to like actually foreclose and finally kick me out of the house. Because, you know, back in like, if people who were around back in 2006, 2008, you could live in your home payment free for, I had clients that lived in their home for almost 2 years without making a payment before the bank finally kicked them out. Right. So, so there's that hope there that maybe I can just kind of write it out for a period of time until I actually have to do something.
You know, Amy, I got another question surrounding that. If one of us wanted, if somebody were to go purchase one of those foreclosed homes, do we have to we would automatically inherit their mortgage? So if they still owe the $3,300K on it, and we bought it for $100,000, we'd still have to take their mortgage? Is that a true statement?
No. So there's, so if you're truly buying a foreclosed property, like you're going to the courthouse steps to buy it, because all of them have to go to a notice of trustee sale. They all have to go to a trustee sale, which is, I mean, it's not on the courthouse steps generally, but it's at the courthouse or wherever that location is, where they actually go and sell the property. You'd have to buy that property cash. And then you own that property without that mortgage on it, whoever foreclosed on it. They're not going to guarantee a clean title. So there may still be some additional liens or taxes or different things that are recorded against that property when you buy it in that manner. So you're kind of accepting the property in all its glory, minus that mortgage that was due on the property. There is an option, right, where you could potentially, if the mortgage was assumable, you could assume their mortgage on the property and then pay the delinquent amount to get it current for them. So maybe somebody's delinquent $30,000 and you're going to come in and pay them $30,000 to get their mortgage current, and then assume their mortgage, and then maybe you let them live there and pay rent, or you know, whatever that might be. But so you could assume somebody's mortgage before it reached the final foreclosure kind of status. And anytime before that actual sale date, you could try to list that property and get it for sale as well. So, and oftentimes
I missed all that, Amy. I'm going to ask you next week again because I just got called back. I'm so sad.
Problem.
It'll be recorded.
It's recorded. Yeah, you can watch the recording. So yeah, so you can get it sold. And oftentimes if you've got somebody that's in a foreclosure proceedings and they've got that notice of trustee sale and they finally are like, okay, I should probably get this sold. If they will call the bank and let the bank know that, hey, we're going to go ahead and list this property and get it sold and get you paid off, the bank will postpone that sale date. The bank doesn't want to foreclose on the property. They don't want to own properties. They just want their money, is really what it comes down to. So if we can get them their money, they will usually postpone those sale dates.
Interesting.
Awesome.
I did have a question not on that, but for Sky Slope, the Kim lady, I know like she sends like the non-reply Sky Slope email, but what's her contact? Because I can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, so Kim's, hold on, I'll tell you what her email is.
While you're looking that up, normally, like if you message anything on SkySlope, if you're like, you know, in those messages, that's where you should be getting a contact. Like you shouldn't have to go outside of that to send another email, correct?
No, yeah, you shouldn't have to do that outside of there. And if you hit a reply all to, so the Kim Contreras one, when you get it from SkySlope, the email says no reply at skyslope.com. But if you open up the byline or 2 lines on there, it'll you can hit reply all, or it has a reply to email on there, which is closed escrow, crowre@gmail.com.
Is that, so that's her?
That's her.
Got it. Okay. See, I wasn't 100% sure, so I didn't want to just go. Okay, cool. Good to know. Okay. And then, but yeah, but what you're saying is typically you shouldn't have to do that. It should be through SkySlope.
Yeah, I mean, but
it's on there.
It's fine either way. You can either leave notes on SkySlope or you can just do a reply all on the email. The reply all on the email may get you a quicker response if you have questions.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. There's one I'm like, nothing's happening here. And I'm like, so something must not be the right communication. So, okay.
Yeah, like if you need something reviewed or you've got a question about a note she left or whatever, you could hit reply all, or if it has to do with a specific note, you can always just reply to that note. And then that way, when she's back in there, she'll see it.
Awesome. Appreciate that.
Yep. Any other questions before we hop into open house smart plans?
Thank you, Amy.
All right, here we go. So back to our delightful command, right? agent.kw.com, and we log in, takes you to your homepage. And then what we want to do is we want to go into Smartplans, which again is that from the toolbar on the left-hand side of your page, the little piece of paper with the little settings cog in the bottom. If you hover over it, it does say Smartplans. It's the fourth option down. That takes you into Smartplans. And from here, we have options. We can either like create a smart plan or you can add a smart plan. So last week we talked about going into the library and like looking for smart plans. We talked about how to edit those smart plans, although if they're the KW direct ones, you can't edit very much of those. So just kind of be aware of that. So maybe now we're like, hey, Amy was talking about this really cool follow-up plan for open houses, and I just don't want to look at every open house smart plan and find one. So I want to create my own. We can go in there and hit, oh, I hit settings. I was just wondering what that little thing did, but hold on. All right. We're going to hit create in the upper right-hand corner of the smart plans window. It's going to say create smart plan. I'm going to switch. All right, I'm going to hit create. You're going to name it. So this might be like open house follow up plan. And we're going to hit apply. Oh, you know what? In fact, I'm going to go edit that because I'm going to tweak it even a little bit more. So here's my open. Oh, hold on. All right, we're going to change it and we're going to call it Saturday open house follow-up plan, because then I can be very specific on how it prompts me to reply to them. And I might then clone it and call one Sunday, which might have different triggers. So on this one, once they get added, it may be like a 2-day delay so that my plan starts on Monday. Whereas if it was a Sunday open house follow-up plan, it may be a 1-day delay from the initial touch so that it falls on Monday, right? So we can create ones for days of the week so that we make sure the timing's appropriate. Okay, so here's how you would edit that. You just come up here and hit the little button. And I just changed it to the Saturday open house follow-up plan. And then we want to add steps and pick triggers, right? So here is where we would say, hey, we want to create a task. We're going to hit send SMS message. Oops. We're going to hit, there we go. You can hit the little add button or click on it. I clicked it more than once, so it's got like 27 now. All right. So here is my first task, right? And we could set this up on a landing page with a trigger. So we could set it up so that that trigger picks it, that if they get labeled open house or something like that, this plan gets added. It makes it a little bit more difficult if you got like one for Saturday and one for Sunday, but you could set up a landing page that everybody that fills in their information. So if they're digitally logging into your smart plan, then this plan automatically gets added to their name and onto your task list. Okay. That's way more specific than I'm capable of. So Carrie, who is our tech person, is the one that could help you solidify how to make sure that set up that landing page and then set it up to automatically add from the landing page. Anybody that gets added to your database gets the smart plan attached to it. So here's our text message. What?
I was going to say the tech committee actually has that training is going to be coming up here soon.
Yeah,
so
see?
just FYI.
There you go. Here's your Twilio account is connected. So if we go dynamic, right, then it's got multiple ones. So if we were going to repeat the smart plan, that's how you get those multiple options versus static is just a single one. If you didn't want this to go out via Twilio and your Twilio account's connected, instead of doing a text message here, you would want to create a task. And so because this first one, I want to be a thank you text message, video text message. I don't want it to go out automatically. I just want it to be a task. I'm just going to add that task in there instead of this because I have Twilio attached to my account. Okay. Again, if you didn't have Twilio, you could leave it a text message and it'll just prompt you to send them a text message. So due in days, I'm going to have this first one due today. I'm going to add them to the smart plan and it's going to show today, send, thank you, text message, record video, thank you from the house that was held open. Okay, so I'm just making myself a little note. It's due today, send thank you text message, record video, thank you from the house that was held open. Okay, so I got a little reminder there. So I know what I'm supposed to be doing for this task. If I add them to this task, it's going to add them to the smart plan. It's going to automatically add this task to my task list immediately. Make sense, everybody? Okay, we're going to hit save, the little check mark. Then what we want to do is set a delay. So now we're going to add a delay. So we just click the little set delay button over here from our toolbar on the right-hand side. And then we want to delay. So this is our Saturday open house smart plan. So we're going to send that thank you out that day. And then in 2 days, we're going to add the next task so that it's going to skip to Monday. Okay. Then maybe our next task is going to be to send them maybe make a phone call to them. We want to call to follow up with all of our people. So we're going to click make a call. It's going to add that task to our list. Interesting. So due today. So we're going to delay 2 days and then due in days is going to be making a call. Task name, follow up phone call for open house. And then you could set up like a little script here. So if you had like an open house follow-up script, you could copy and paste it here, add script, so that you would know exactly what it was that you're supposed to say to all your open house follow-up people when this task came around. Okay. If you put like due in days, like if I had this due in 1 day, then it would show up as on my task list as, but it wouldn't show as overdue until it was like the next day old. I believe is how that works. Carrie can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that due in days is how that sets up. So when it shows up as overdue. Okay, so does everybody see how that's working? Any questions so far?
No.
What was that?
I was just saying no questions.
Okay, perfect. So now, so day one, right? Day one, we send a thank you. We're going to skip to the weekdays because I don't want to have to work every day of the week. And you could tweak this, right? For like, if you had a day off. So maybe you're like, oh, I'm doing an open house Saturday, Sunday, and I'm taking Monday off. So you may decide that, hey, anytime I'm working a Saturday open house, that's usually my open house weekend. So I've got them both days. So I want to scoot this follow-up phone call to Sunday. So I'm sending a thank you and then following up on Sunday. And then I'm skipping Monday, which is now my day off to get all the stuff done that I should have gotten done over the weekend for my family. And then my next task doesn't start till Tuesday. You can tweak this to fit your schedule. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with that. And if you're doing open houses on the weekends, you should be taking a day off somewhere in there. Please do not work 7 days a week every week, because you will get burnt out and you'll be like, Amy, I'm exhausted and tired and I'm worn out. And I'm not sure real estate is my thing because I'm tired all the time. Well, take a day off, people. Come on. It's okay. Okay. Put it on your calendar, put it on your schedule. If open houses are one of your things, make sure you've got a day in there that you're off. Okay. All right. So now we're going to add another delay. We're going to plug that in there. I'm just going to delay one day. So we've got Saturday, we send our thank you text message. Monday, we're going to make a phone call. Tuesday here, delay one day. We're going to add a task. And my task is going to be to set up property search in Berries, or it may be in Command, whatever you want to do there. And you're going to take info from open house notes and create property search based on the. If it was a potential seller, right, that came through the open house, then you may want to set it up in Command as a neighborhood nurture to go out every 2 weeks. So they're kept up to date on what's going on in that neighborhood, wherever they were living, right? If it was a buyer, then we may want to set them up in Berries on a property search. And if it's somebody who's like looking to buy right now, we probably want it to go out immediately. If it was somebody that's like, oh yeah, we're thinking about buying the next couple of months, then we may want it to be like daily or weekly, right? So we can tweak that Berries search or that Command neighborhood nurture to fit the need of the buyer or seller, so that it's going out appropriately. So just kind of think about that when you're setting it up there, but we're going to set up that property search in Command. And then I'm going to add another step for that same day where we're going to send them a text message. Oh, I'm going to not send it to Twilio. Well, we can even do Twilio. It doesn't matter. If you have Twilio connected, it could be automatic. And you could just be like, I just wanted, I set you up with a property search to get new properties on the market delivered to your, how about new properties? Delivered to your inbox as they come on the market. Please let me know if you want me to make any changes. And then we're going to put Amy Petard, right? So there you go. So they'll get a text message that says, hey, we're setting you up for a property search. Let me know if you want to make any changes. And sending out that, and this could go out, this could be a manual text or it could go out via Twilio. It's totally up to you. Okay, makes sense. So on this day, on day number 2, we're going to get, well, it's technically day number, I don't know, 3. We're going to have 2 tasks that show up. One's going to be to set them up on a search. And then another one is that Twilio text is going to go out automatically. Or if you set it as a manual, you don't have Twilio, then it'll prompt you to send that text message. I would almost say maybe this one's better to not send automated, only because then you could say, hey, I set up your property search based on properties in Vacaville and Fairfield, 3 bedrooms, with a decent sized lot under 600,000. Let me know if you want me to tweak that search anyway, so that way they know specifically what you set up as the parameters for that search, right? Or other homes in the Travis Unified School District or other homes with a pool. Okay, makes sense to everybody? It could also be, right, that so the other option here, if we were doing like not Twilio, would be, your other option would be, hey, I set you up on to receive market updates of what's going on in the Woodvale neighborhood every couple weeks. So you can see the other homes that are coming on the market and what the sales price looks like. Okay, makes sense to everybody? Yes. Okay, remember our goal with our open house leads is to try to get them responding in those first 3 to 4 days. Okay. So we've got that going out. So we've got our thank you video message. We've got a follow-up phone call, just trying to touch base with them, get them on the phone. We're going to send them out a text message. We're going to set another delay. And then we're going to make a phone call to them as well. Task name, get open house on the phone. You could also say, you could say here, there's a way to do this. Oh, here, right here. You can merge fields. So you could say get first name space, get last name, comma, oops, comma, open house lead on the phone. So now it's going to say get Heather Garcia open house lead on the phone in your task. So now you know specifically in that. And then you could also come over here and just be like, boom. And you could be like contact phone number. Right. Or you could put that in the task description as well. So you're going to say call blank, blank, right? First name, last name. We could take the rest of this out. Oh, I didn't like that. Hold on. There we go. So, oh, it doesn't like to. Okay, so we're going to say house lead, last, immediate contact to try to get, oops, wrong field, first name, last name. Phone call today to follow up, and then we can put the phone number there. So see how we can merge those? We use the little drop down to merge the fields, and then it'll pull it straight from that contact into your task list. Okay, you can do that on the automated text messages too. If this was a automated text messages, people like to see their names. So you can be like, good morning. And then you could put in first name, right? Exclamation point. I set you up on a property search, right? So now it sounds more personalized. Okay, so see how we can use those merged fields in our smart plans? Everybody shook their head yes. Are there questions about how to use those? No, we're good. On this berries one, the set up a berries search, just so you guys know, we could add right here, we could add a hyperlink that takes us to the berries website. So that when you open up your task list in the morning and you're setting these up, you just click the link and it takes you right over to berries. You don't even have to like think about it. Okay, so that's how you use those hyperlinks. All right, so now maybe what we want to do is we're going to, after we complete this task, we're going to delay a day, set a delay, and then we're going to add to Smart Plan down here, this option. Add to Smart Plan. From here, it goes into your library and you can select what you want to add them to next. So if we had like an 8x8 plan set up where we're going to contact them once a week for the next 8 weeks, we could add them. So the second they finish this one, right, we're going to do all of our steps. We're going to make that last phone call. It's going to delay a day and then it's going to link them over to that other plan and start running them through that 8x8. Okay, so the 8x8, remember again, is, because I just mentioned it, but it's the one contact a week for 8 weeks. So that's if we read the MREA of how to follow up with our leads, that's what the MREA recommends we do, is that we go from new lead on to an 8x8 so that we're contacting them once a week with the hopes that we're still getting a response. And then from that 8x8, then we would move them over to that 19 to connect or that 36 to convert the second they start responding to us. Now, keep in mind that if we have them on this open house smart plan and then we make contact with them, we don't want them to roll to the 8x8. So we need to go in there and pull this plan off once they're responding to us and we're having communication with them. So you may want to even add that to your notes for each task, right? So if our task on this day is to call and follow up, and then it may be if client is responding, remove from this smart plan to a 36 to convert, right? Or to the nurture, or whatever your next plan is going to be. Okay, so that we're reminded each day that if we get them, then our next step is that. And if we don't get them, it's going to automatically then take them and add them to that next smart plan that we want them to be added to. Questions about that? If we want a smart plan to restart, oh, Melissa, did you have a question? I see you unmuted yourself.
No, I was just gonna say, no, I love it. Love all of it. Thank you.
Okay.
Keep going.
If we have a smart plan, if we go in there and create a smart plan, maybe it's not this one, but it's another one. At the end, you can set it to restart the smart plan, right? So that's when we start looking at those birthday smart plans or the neighborhood nurture. That's how you restart it. We just add down here at the bottom, we just add restart, and then it'll say restart this 1 to 6 times or indefinitely. So unlimited means that it's just going to keep repeating. Every time it hits the end, it's going to start back at the beginning. In the beginning, right? That would be unlimited. If you set a number of times, it's going to repeat this 2 or 3 more times. So if you're like, well, open house smart plan, if we don't get them on the first round, we want to try it again for the so he gets to the end of the week. You could hit repeat, right? And then that would take you through one whole week of trying to contact them almost daily for something, or you could just add more steps to this on that one. But that's how you would restart it. If we want to take that off, we just hit X and we remove that step. This is the add to the smart plan. So those are kind of our options that you get. If you do send an email, right? So if we add send an email, you can set up this email. So you can go into simple or into designs. And if you go into designs, you can go into your design library and select the email. So if you go into your designs and design some emails in there, you can pull those into your smart plans here. So it sends out the nice, pretty emails from your design plan. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. And it'll show your reply to email. If you want to change that, you go in the settings, you put in the subject here and then select that content from your design library. Okay. Any questions about how to set up your smart plan or what you may want to put in an open house follow-up smart plan? I would say this is pretty indicative of what I would want to do for an open house smart plan as far as follow-up goes for those first 3 or 4 days. The last thing is here on this last one, let's see, we made a phone call. We may want to add a secondary task on this last day, or maybe even up here on the first day. Let's put it on Monday. All right, so we're going to add a task. And then we're going to take this task and we're going to move it up the ladder. We're just going to keep following it up. Because I'm going to put this on like day 2 or so. All right, so this first day, right, we had, hold on, we're going to keep going up the ladder. I was like, let's see how far I got to go. And one more. All right, so I have this task, send thank you message. We're going to skip 2 days. We're going to make a phone call. Hold on, I'm just going to use the arrows to reposition it. And then I have another task. This is going to be send thank you card. Send thank you card. There we go. And then we could say, here we could go first name and last name, and down here, that's all we're gonna do. All right. So you may want to send out a thank you card. So I would do that in kind of that first day. I would call them to follow up and then send out a thank you card, either based on the fact that we haven't gotten them yet, or the fact that they answered their phone call on Monday when we called them. And then it's going to go back into then that delay to the next day, and then our set up property search and send them a text message, and then delay and make another phone call, and then a delay 1 day, and then they're going to add to the next smart plan. Yeah.
Picasso. Oh.
So not super complicated. Here at this add trigger event, if we click on that, here's where we can add that trigger event, right? Category, contact tag, select tag. Here's where you could add, anytime somebody's added that tag, they get added to the smart plan. So this is where you'd set up like Saturday house. You'd have to have it in your tags already. So you'd have to go in there to settings, set up a tag, and then you could set it to automatically trigger. Yes.
What did you click on? I'm sorry, my screen was smaller and I didn't see.
Right here at the top of the smart plan, it says add trigger event. Just click straight on that add trigger event.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep. And that's where you can select those tags. Okay. So then you can set up your, what's it called? Landing page? It's like lead page. That's not it. Landing page, that anybody that fills in the contact information automatically gets tagged with this. And then you can go in there and add that tag in that they're going to get added to the smart plan by the trigger event. And that will set it up to automatically, anytime somebody digitally logs into your open house there, because you have your little iPad going on at the door so that you make sure you can read their writing, it automatically adds them to the smart plan and starts it rolling right along. So you could do that as well, with the first task being a touch task that you have to actually do. Then at the end of the open house, you log into your command, you look at your task list, and all those people are going to be listed there that you need to send out thank you notes from, or to, the thank you videos. Magic is what that is.
Very much so.
Very much so. All right. Any other questions? You could set this up too. This could be your open house plan, like your weekend open house plan, right? And you could be like, I'm only going to host open houses on the weekends. And, you know, your Saturday ones then would be contacted on Monday, where your Sunday ones would then be, you would send the thank you note on Sunday, but then they wouldn't actually hit the contact until Tuesday. So you could roll that along too, which would be, you know, anytime you add them in there, it gets delayed out. Okay. Any questions regarding this or anything else at this moment? We have 15 minutes before I kick you out and move on.
Chop liver? Anybody else feel like chop liver? No, I'm just kidding.
Just kick us to the curb, Amy.
You know what? I just want to know really quick, to make a long answer short. Basically, we would not inherit the mortgage of a foreclosed home that we just purchased.
You would not, no. The foreclosure process happened to make the mortgagee, or the mortgagee. I always get confused on the mortgage, which one's the mortgagee and which one's the mortgager, but to make the lender whole, they foreclosed on the property, whether they got all their money or not. Gotcha. So you would not inherit that.
Got you. But I thought by it being attached lien, like that's the first thing that a mortgager would do, right? Would attach a lien for the amount of money that's owed on a property.
They already have a lien attached to that property for the amount of money, and the reason they are selling that property is to get their money back. So they're willing to accept whatever that property sells for as paid in full. As far as removing that lien goes, they're probably, there's lots of options on a foreclosure process and what that lender can do with the person they foreclosed on, but that mortgage does not carry on with the property.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, I was just asking because I know it's a gentleman that says, oh no, I don't want any foreclosed properties, because I was just offering, I was like, hey, are you interested in this as an investor? And he explained that he thought that whatever money was owed, that you would inherit that, but that's not necessarily a true statement.
Not necessarily. Yeah, you will not inherit the mortgage. 100%. You will not inherit the mortgage. You may inherit other liens or things that may be recorded against that property, because it doesn't go through a general title search and title sale to buy it at the trustee sale. So you may inherit other issues that need to be remedied.
Gotcha. So
You're not
I
going to
would
get
have
your
to do my
title
due
insurance.
diligence to find out what liens are attached to the property.
Yep.
And got you. Understood. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amy, I know you've shown us before, like on the backside of settings for like where you can see all your tags, and I'm like spacing it right now. I'm like in the area, but I'm like nothing is
All right,
opening.
so we're gonna go into you click on your little picture and then you go into settings. No, I was like, is it going? I don't know. It's spinning. We're good. All right. And then in settings, you want to come over here to command settings, I believe, and then into contacts. And then that's where you find your contact tags. There is a separate setting for your opportunity settings, which would be under your opportunity settings here. Those are your opportunity tags because you can tag both independently. But if you open up your contact tags, there's where you can see and edit all of those tags.
Got it. And that's what I did. I went to the opportunities one. That's why I didn't see anything. I'm like, this is odd. But
So
okay.
contacts, command settings, and then contacts, and then contact tags.
Perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Questions? Need help with anything? Anything at all? Are we doing our lead gen? We talked about lead gen last week. Have we been doing anything?
Oh yeah.
I know Heather hopped off, but she had a pretty successful open house and picked up a couple leads. One, she's actually like writing a cash offer on a property, not the one she held open.
That's awesome. No, right now, this is going to be really helpful for today because I have open houses previous, like the really hot leads from the open houses. That's what I was like really working, you know, but because I really didn't have steps to, you know what I mean? So now I'm going back to just see where we're at there so that, and then moving forward so in the right foot. So hopefully more turnover from that.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. Awesome. So that was exciting. And I think sometimes you're just like, that was very helpful for me because it's like, sometimes you're just too close to the project. You're just like, you know, all of like, when, as you went through, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a good one. Yep. That's a good one. And I'm like, why couldn't I put this together? So I really, really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have a Q&A this evening at 8, so make sure you RSVP if you want to attend that. We have Q&A tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. If there's something else you want me to cover kind of on the back half of the 10:30 to 11, let me know. I'm happy to cover topics. And then we have training on Thursday. I'm not putting anything solid into place only because our time is limited. And so I really want to dive into kind of where you guys are at and what you guys need help on, like these smart plans or whatnot. So if there's something you'd like me to cover on Thursday, please let me know. I'm happy to do that. Otherwise, I will come up with a plan of something that will bring you just amazing insight and training on Thursday morning.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
Perfect.
So many more questions. Actually, real quick, for hold on. I feel like when you've shown it before how you can tag your emails in Google or Gmail account, and like you can tag it all. And so when you do that, like I'm trying to close a file. So I'm like, normally everything's mentioned, or could you just, well, I guess you can't really even put just an email address. I'm just trying to save time to not have to go in every area to click on, basically. So I don't know. I have folders, but
yeah, I mean, I think you can set up multiple rules when it comes to your tags, right? So we set up these like passwords or scheduled or the I'm in the right one. Here we go. Stonegate or Azalea, right? And Ponderosa. So we can label them inside of there. I believe that you could set up multiple tags based on who is emailing you. So you could set it up as a rule for to go into that folder, like based on the address. You could do it based on the agent on the other side, right? If it's a specific title company. So you could set up 2 or 3 rules for each little envelope of what would trigger something to go into that envelope. It may not just be the property address. You could do it from the agent or their transaction coordinator or whatever.
Okay, so, but like if you set up a rule like that, and let's say I did a transaction with you and then I did another one in 3 months with you, but then would it then start dumping it into that because I set up a rule that anything coming from Amy would dump to this folder type of deal?
It would absolutely, if you
Okay.
hadn't deleted that folder,
Got it.
then it would add those back into that folder as well.
Okay, so maybe that's, and then that was gonna be my other question. I see that you just have it by address. Is that kind of how you filter? I'm just trying to figure out a better system. I know, I mean, you know, the transaction that I'm a part of, but so this one's a little wonkier in the sense of things. So, but I'm like going forward, I mean, realistically, I'll only be dealing with one property at a time. So that should be kind of, I think that's why I'm in the hot mess right now, is because it was multiple properties in one transaction. So, but
Yeah,
I'm just not wanting to miss
right,
anything.
So yeah, because you've got a person who's buying a property and selling a property, it's going to make it a little bit more like if I was like, hey, every email from this person goes into that folder, you're going to end up with emails in both folders. And ultimately that's okay. Life goes on, even if they all ended up going to the SkySlope file, as long as the ones pertaining to that transaction are there, that's all that we really care about. So if you had some bonus ones in there, that would be okay. You don't got to go on the SkySlope and then try to like filter them out.
Okay, I think that was my biggest concern, was like, okay, am I, you know what I mean? So that's good to know that if I accidentally get one, it's, oh well, as long as I get the ones that pertain to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, yeah, because I think I like I said, I like the going by. At first, I was going to try to do by client, and I was like, yeah, no, that's not going to work either, because you know I still would have to go by address either way. If I did like reoccurring work with anybody. So, okay, like I said, I'm just trying to gear up for the the right way here. So
the onslaught.
awesome. Oh, and so the emails that like are from Kim from SkySlope, like the ones like this is status, like those don't need to be sent back into SkySlope because I was received. Okay. No. Okay, thank God. I mean, not that there's a lot of them, but I'm like, like those are really, I could just delete them. It's not really, it's just for you. Hey, by the way, this is where you're at on this file, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
So
once you've glanced at it, you can just delete.
Okay. And then one other question on the SkySlope, because we didn't close when we were wanting to. And so it hit and it said basically like expired or something. It popped up. So I had to push out the date. Now, ultimately, obviously, you're putting in a date from your desired time to close, but like that really isn't like, that's not doing anything besides just putting another red flag type of situation, right? Like,
yeah, so it's just alerting those that are reviewing that, hey, this file's past due, like it's not closing for whatever reason, or it's expired. So yeah, you just want to go in there and update that date in SkySlope to what you think it's going to close to. And you don't need paperwork or anything for that. It's totally fine.
And we don't need to like message Kim when we put, like, she'll automatically see it's back in the cycle of things, and we have to do any steps. Okay, cool. I figured as much, but because that's as easy as it was to switch the thing. So it's
just an automated email that you get from, so it looks like it's coming from her, but it's just an automated email that says, hey, your transaction is past closing date. Please, get all your paperwork in there, or, extend it or whatever. So yeah, it's just.
And I thought it was interesting because I actually didn't get an email that it was expired. I just went into SkySlope to see if because what I'm waiting on, and I put on there, was the CDA. It came back and it was like, oh, it's missing signatures. I'm like, no, those signatures are on the top and they're right there. So, and it's been saying incomplete for the longest time, but they're there. So I'm trying to figure out, do I need anything else to make this suffice for this file? But I've been doing it through SkySlope, so I'm like, no responses happen. So like,
and on that, it probably won't get cleared until the close of the transaction. So on something like that, and like your email correspondence, that's probably not going to get closed until we actually receive the closing documents, and then those get scanned into the file, and your checks get released. When they go in there to sign off, do that final sign off on the closing statement and the copies of the checks, the actual checks, then anything else that's incomplete, like if there's a note in there that says like, hey, it is in there with the signatures, she'll go back in there and look at that and then sign off on it. And you could always like upload another copy of it as well if you wanted to trigger.
Okay.
So that's a really good, actually a really good plan of action for SkySlip. If you're having problems getting something reviewed or you're concerned something's being overlooked because it's just in the notes section versus like an actual document being uploaded. If you go into like on a Mac, you could go into preview or whatever, Google Docs, or even just take a piece of paper and write on it and then scan it in and send it over and then upload it that just says like, all emails uploaded, or just a blank sheet and then upload it, then that would trigger, it would pull it back up and trigger her to review it.
Got it. Okay, I like that. Yeah, because I've done different documents where I've like, and I've seen it and it gets transferred, but this one I'm like, I've only done the form of the messaging, and I'm not uploading another one because it was there correctly. So that's good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. And it shouldn't, like I said, it shouldn't need to be done because she'll go in there when she reviews the final things and sign off on it.
Okay.
But if there's ever something that you feel like is kind of being got added as a requirement and you don't think it should have to be a requirement, or it's not a requirement, then you can always upload a blank piece of paper and put a notes section in there, or upload something that has what you would put in the notes into that file section.
Awesome. Okay. Or I can have just something on the look at notes. Scan it on there. Keep it on the desktop. Sounds great. Yep. Awesome. Cool. Well, I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Any other questions before we sign off for the day?
I'm good.
All right. Fabulous. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today. Like I said, if you want to be on this evening, RSVP. If there's anything you want me to cover this evening, holler at me. Or later this week, just holler at what you want me to cover, what day would be ideal for you, and we'll just continue to plug away and keep you updated what's going on with life.
Awesome. Have a great day.
All right.
Thank you.